Secretary DBT, Professor Rajesh Gokhale, Professor Abhay, Dr. Mishra, Pragya, the senior members of fraternity, friends from the media. At the outset, I have to congratulate you all. It's been an excellent teamwork, and I think one of the most striking examples of the whole of government approach that is sought to be reiterated by Prime Minister Modi again and again. And it won't have been possible actually if each one of them in the team had not contributed to a lesser or a greater extent. So when the anchor person was talking about me and giving all the credit to me, I initially felt tempted to interrupt her, but then it was sounding good and flattering. So I allowed her to carry on. But the truth is otherwise. I think this is one of the best examples. And it all started a few years back when we started sitting together, because that was also a practice which was unknown to us. We worked in different departments, and therefore we thought we could have at least once in a month a joint meeting of all the departments of science and all the ministries of science. And then I realized that some of the departments were so unfamiliar with each other, they were not even known to each other, and sometimes even because two of our departments, namely the Atomic Energy Department and the Department of Space, are located outside Delhi. For legacy reasons, the headquarters of one is in Mumbai, the other one is Bengaluru. And quite often, the secretaries here or the other staff members would not even know who's the Secretary Atomic Energy, which sounds rather little embarrassing, but that's been true. And so also was the case with the Department of Space, till of course Chandrayaan happened and Somnath became a celebrity. And therefore I think when we started sitting together, not only we got to know each other, and that also experience after the COVID, because many of us were working in silos, each room was developing its own ventilator, so we didn't know what's happening. And so there was also maybe not a very optimum use of resources happening. So during one of those meetings, I realized, because I've been traveling a lot, visiting the universities and the colleges, wherever I went, I found students always struggling with the procedures to apply for fellowships. Very often, they were at a loss to find out what fellowship was meant for which student. And more often than that, they did not know where to find out. So once, on the one hand, not able to find out, on the other hand, didn't know where to find out. Secondly, in the process, they missed out on many of the fellowship opportunities, which could have been very appropriate from their profile, from their aptitude, also their taste and their area of work. And there were multiple websites which were not known. In fact, so often, and it's been not very past, it's been very recent. I came across a PhD girl in one of these universities. She said she wanted to go abroad for a fellowship. And then I told her, I said the same kind of course is available, or a fellowship is available in one of our these genetic institutes which we have over here. What is that called? ICGB. And ironically, a girl who had dedicated so many years was not actually aware. So, and sometimes there were also dates clashing with each other. And if there were some interactive selection interactions, then they would either not be able to reach out to all of those opportunities for reasons of time constraint, or even sometimes for reasons of affordability. So I had the courage to put across this unorthodox suggestion in one of those meetings, that could we have a common portal. So I was not sure how well it would be taken, but I'm glad all the secretaries were generous enough, and it was decided. We had Dr. Manda at that time, the CSIR DG. He was among the senior most, so a committee was constituted under him. And I said, can we have, it would, to my mind, what occurred was that it would serve the dual purpose. One, of course, the addressing the issues related to the young aspirants and students which have been placing before you in the last few minutes. The other, I said we are a Ministry of Science and Technology. So we are mandated to develop technologies for others to follow, the best practices in technology. But we are, if we ourselves don't follow the best practices, how would others do? So that could also vindicate our work or the kind of assignment given to us. And in the course of that meeting itself, one of the members suggested and made a very useful input that if we have to indulge in an exercise like this, why then limit ourselves only to a single ministry or single department? Because the young aspirants have to deal with multiple ministries. So the young boy or a young girl doesn't know what is happening through Ministry of Education or Ministry of Health. For him or her, it's just the fellowship. So it becomes another challenge for them. So that's how we started. We thought we would have a committee because there were certain exams being conducted in UGC. There was an exam being conducted by UGC, also by CSIR. So many fellowships overlapping with each other, AICTE, ICRMAR. So, and then later on, the Department of Biotechnology took over the responsibility of coordinating for this common portal, which was ready initially, as Rajesh was pointing out, in January 22. We had an initial feel of it, and then a working group was constituted. And they are still working. I hope they'll finish working. So that, and Dr. Mishra will ensure that, so that we have the fellowships from all the science departments as well as from the Ministry of Education, also from the Ministry of Health in a single portal. The hallmarks, as was being pointed out by the brief presentation in Dr. Mishra, he called it brief, though it was not so brief, was the, because I think you could have 3-slide bullet points so that which could strike the youngster what is meant for him. In fact, when we started in one of the fellowships way back in late 90s, and we used to select these boys and girls on the basis of their presentation, we kept a marking also for the number of slides. So the more the number of slides, there would be a negative marking. And this is a pattern which we adopted from the Denmark company, the Novo Nordisk. So you have 4 slides and you convey what is, so that the message goes crisp into, right into the receptive cell. So I think the hallmark A is the eligibility calculator. So you just put this thing, and then it keeps roaming all across the universe. And then it brings back to you where you are meant for, what you are meant for, or you are meant for or not, both ways. Sometimes like everybody takes a train to Mumbai to become a hero or a heroine. And there you realize that you end up as a clapper boy to make a livelihood, because you think, after all, you need to feed yourself. So you don't get it. So this will give you both, whether you are meant for biotechnology or not. If you are meant for biotechnology, it's going to be human bio or it's going to be plant. And therefore, the other is the single application form, as Dr. Mishra said. And the third is the storage of your repository. So these 3 ingredients are most important, which must be popularized across all the young aspirants. And that would automatically attract them. But the full purpose of this would be served only when you have the other fellowships also, which we are in the process of doing. I think the sooner we do, the better it is. Maybe the subconscious pressure of the code of conduct getting imposed brought us together today. Otherwise, in the next few weeks, I think we'll be through with that. But I'm sure at least by the next academic session, we are able to give this service to our younger community. And then I also envisage the next step, we would also have to go to the next level. A, there's going to be a dynamic process. What is relevant today may not be tomorrow. And B, we could then have WhatsApp so that anybody could access through mobile. Don't have to, like we've done this even in the other departments which I was working. Because, for example, in RTI, they had to file an RTI from 10 to 4. Now we have introduced a WhatsApp mobile. So you could file an RTI from anywhere in the world, day or night, because some people become wiser after midnight. So that way. So I think that is an opportunity, because you can't hold the youngsters bound by the constraints of time, so that and if we are able to actually do that, ultimately, this will not only help to nurture, facilitate, or sharpen the scientific temper, as was being mentioned, but also the startup aptitudes. Because many of us don't know that we don't know, and many of us know what we don't know. So sometimes that realization of aptitude also happens as one starts growing. It's a evolving process. When an adolescent maybe starts feeling that he is or she is went like that, and then gradually it happens. And this is going to be a part of the larger eco effect, which also would include, ironically, the new education policy, the NEP 2020, because there you have the option to opt out or to change your stream of academics. So not necessarily that you become prisoner of what you have chosen today, because as I firmly believe that the aptitude itself, it is often said that it is inherent. Of course, it's inherent, but its growth is not inherent. So you may have an aptitude to sing, but the evolution of that skill is realized by the individual, sometimes through his own effort, sometimes it happens through the circumstantial support. So this would help in that. And finally, I think later on, when we are able to integrate all these fellowships across the ministry, then we will gain for a larger or an extended integration. Maybe we would also have industry included in that portal, so that when I put my eligibility criteria or my calculator there, and that matches with my fellowship, it also gives me a mapping of the industry. Where would I fit in after this? So it gives me a direction of the graph that I may be seeking to follow in my future years of life. Because otherwise, if you don't have a proper industry linkage, then you would not sustain your fellowship, nor would you sustain your startup, because at the end of the day, we are all children of the same society. So however fanciful, however academically prestigious a course or a fellowship may sound, but when a youngster finds his peer moving in a BMW, he says, hell with my bicycle and my academics. So in order to give that peer satisfaction and that sense of being living in esteem with contentment, so I think that industry linkage is something which I am very strongly have been advocating. We would keep on extending it, and I hope those who are in future responsible with this task would take up that. And ultimately, of course, all this is, as Rajesh said, going to contribute to Viksit Bharat, because this is the generation which has been blessed to work with this optimum energy and talent for the next 20 years before we reach that pedestal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We are all indebted for your kind words of guidance. Interaction with the media is always of vital importance, as they serve our eyes and ears to the wider world. Through effective communication with the media, we can disseminate accurate information, highlight key achievements, and also address any concerns or queries from the stakeholders. Through transparent and open dialogue with the media, we can build